Where's all the ring video? I get it. Those of you who are new to the Karen Read trial are asking these questions, and they're very good questions. And this is the most basic, fundamental part of an investigation, is that you collect all the video surveillance throughout the neighborhood. That's like step number one, right? And one thing you're going to learn about this trial is that everybody who is a witness, everybody who gives a statement, when they're asked questions like, well, why didn't you tell the police this? Why didn't you hand this over? Why didn't you give this to anybody? Why didn't you tell anybody? Their answer is always, well, I was never asked. And it's 100% true because Proctor didn't investigate the crime. Proctor never investigated this properly. So when you ask, aren't there ring cameras? Yeah, there's a lot of video. Let's get into it. So there's two houses that are kind of playing to this. There's a neighbor right across the street east of the Alberts house, and then there's a house that's to the south. Now, both of those would have been very important in this investigation. The neighbor next door, which would have been the house due south, which is where they say Karen pulled up in front of the neighbor's house and then she threw it in reverse, his camera would have captured everything. His ring camera was never asked for, no video footage, nothing. They were never asked to save anything, maintain anything, nothing. The person that lives across the street, just coincidentally, is the deputy chief of police. And when asked if there was anything on his ring, did his ring camera capture anything? He's like, oh yeah, I looked and there was just nothing telling on the camera. And he was taken at his word. People have asked, didn't the Alberts have a ring camera? Now this was brought up in trial. Brian Albert admits that he had just for Christmas, right? This took place at the end of January, that for Christmas he had received a Nest, a Google Nest camera, but that they hadn't hooked it up yet. Now again, Brian Albert is the head of like the gang unit for the Boston PD. He deals with some pretty bad people. So you would think his house would be a fortress. You'd think there'd be cameras everywhere or alarms or something. Apparently not. Now here's what kills me. The library footage is my favorite story. Canton Public Library is located on a street that's kind of near a main thoroughfare. And it has a video camera that covers the parking lot, and then there's the road beyond, right? And there's like a stoplight nearby. So that's kind of the only stoplight that you kind of hit going to and from the Alberts home. So of course, the Canton Library, they're asked to provide video from their feed. And by the way, this video is also helpful to see the level of snowfall as well. Sure enough, on this video, you see Karen when they're driving from the waterfall to the Alberts home. You see her SUV drive right past. At that time, you can see there's very little snow falling. You can kind of see it's kind of just a light dusting beginning. But you see her drive by. You know that's the path she's going on. She goes to the Alberts home. At the point where she would have turned around and come back the other way, again, the passenger side of her car is on the side of the road closest to the library. So that camera would have captured the passenger side of her vehicle as she went by. So yes, you would have been able to see the taillight. And when the police were going through the video, trying to put together the timeline of what time did they go this way, what time did they go that way, it would have, we all know, logically, it would have shown her driving by. And you would have been able to blow up that video to see if there was anything wrong with her taillight. But what's weird is that there is 2 minutes. There's 2 minutes that are missing from the video. And it happens to be the exact window when Karen would have driven by. By everybody, like by the timeline, that would have probably been the time that Karen would have driven by, and we all could have gotten a clear view of her taillight. And we could have seen if she had a broken taillight or not. But that 2 minutes is missing. Now, again, there probably has to be a dozen other things. There has to be probably a dozen other homes, ring cameras, bank ATM cameras, traffic cameras. There has to be, you could pinpoint every single bit of her movement that night by video camera if you wanted to, or if it helped your narrative, right? They may have gotten all this video, or they may not even have asked for it. If you subpoena the video and then it tells you anything that would contradict what you're trying to prove, then you're screwed. So don't even bother to ask. Let's see if we can make the case without it. The other thing that Proctor did, which is really suspicious in my opinion, did the geofencing on the home. So what it'll do is in a certain time frame, it will give you kind of the, I think it's the IP addresses, like who's ever in what location. Your location can be somewhat tracked, or at least in the vicinity of this area, by using geofencing. Don't you ever notice, like when you're in Costco or something and then all of a sudden your phone pops up with like a Costco ad? It's because they know you're in the store. There's a way to find out who was in that home. So Proctor ordered Google information. So he ordered for Google and Android phones, but didn't order the geofencing for Apple phones, which is what John O'Keefe carried. There was only a few people in the home that had Androids. So you get this half data. You get this data that goes, yep, that just proves that, what time Tristan came, or that just proves that Julie was there all night. It's very limited. He already knew the Alberts were there. He didn't need to prove that. I think he didn't order it because it would prove at some point that John's phone was there longer than anybody says it was. So why order the Apple data? Just order the Google data. It allows for the deniability. He says, well, I ordered the geofencing to see who was in the home. Sure you did, big guy, but you only ordered it for not even 40% of the people that were there because fewer people use Androids than Apples. He didn't order it for the Apple phones. When the judge signed for him to be able to get that geofencing, because you have to get a warrant, when he got the warrant, there was a clause in the warrant that said it would be at his sole discretion as to what data was presented to the prosecution and the defense. So basically, that gives Michael Proctor permission to look through all the information and decide what's pertinent and what's not. There's so much more. Don't even get me started on the video at the Sallyport, right? The 45 plus minutes of missing time, the inverted video, the cuts and the chops, and it was supposedly 6 hours. Why did we get just little tiny tidbits? All of the key pieces of evidence, the stuff that you and I would find very basic in any investigation, was either missing, never asked for, covered over, or otherwise tampered with. And we're just getting started. This is not even the scariest part of the case. It's not. It's going to get really, really crazy.